THOR rock breakers and post drivers are some of the simplest and easiest machines to maintain, fit and use. But if you're like me, you've thrown the instructions away months ago and it comes time to having to do something, change a tool over or grease it, and you're wondering how, this is the video for you. And if you're thinking about buying one of these, this is how easy they are to use. Simon, let's get into it, mate.
Let's do it, mate.
Now Simon, first tip, before you start working on these machines, if at all possible, rotate them so that they're level and you're not dropping the tool out on your feet.
Yeah, Tim, wherever possible, yes, depending on what machine you've got on. Sometimes you might have to change the tool out with it being vertical, but either way, the tooling's, unless you've got really big bells in your post driver, it's not too hard to change them out that way as well.
So if you can, even if it's mounted on the bucket of your tractor, just tip it over so that it's
tilt it over. Yeah, that's it. Tilt it over a little bit so that the tool slides out a bit. It's a bit more easier to grab a hold of and manage and slide it out, so you can then slide in the other size.
Now there's a pin that has to be knocked out to remove the tool in your post drivers, and that's because all of your tools are one piece. You don't cut corners and you don't come out with two-piece tools, do you?
No, I believe there's a few other two-piece tools around and stuff, and I'm not interested in that because the longevity of a two-piece tool can't be as good as a single-piece tool made out of a single billet of steel and then hardened up to the same hardness and tensile strength of the rock breaking chisels.
So all your tools, they're all spun out of one single solid piece of billet?
That's exactly right, Tim.
No wonder they're so darned heavy.
Yeah, well they are. There's a lot of really good steel in those post driver tools.
Now to get to the pin, we've got some dust covers to remove, these little bungs here. You've got a tip for that as well, haven't you?
Yeah, because it's good quality rubber and it's quite sticky. So if you're trying to get it out with a screwdriver, the screwdriver sticks to the rubber. So a little bit of inox on it, and they slide in and out easy as. Rightio. So this is how you change a tool out on a THOR rock breaker or a post driver. They're all exactly the same, just bigger or smaller. There's 4 rubber bungs. There's one on this side, which you can't see. There's one on this side, one on top, and there's one underneath, which I've already taken that one out underneath because you can't see that either. You just get a screwdriver in and just pop the rubber bung out. They get a bit of bite on them because they're pretty good quality rubber bungs, and you can see they're just a dust cover. They keep all the dirt and muck out. And down in the top hole you'll see there's a larger pin that's holding the chisel in the tool head, and there's a smaller roll pin in the side, and we're going to drive that out. There's a punch in your toolkit that comes with all the post drivers. You put it in from the long side, it goes in about 50-60 mil. So everything's supplied. All you need is a hammer to drive the pin out. And so there's our roll pin taken out. Once the roll pin's taken out, there's a hole at the bottom as well, so you just take your punch back out, and the bigger pin comes out, and you can see how it's locked in position with the groove in the pin. So the spring pin or roll pin holds that in place. Super simple, nothing can go wrong with this. There's some weird and wonderful ways that tools get attached to hammers and stuff these days, but this is foolproof. You know, nothing can make it fail. So once we've done that, chisel out. Oop, and some nice goopy grease there as well. Righto, so once you've taken out the chisel, and you might want to put your post driver tool in, and here's a new one to our lineup. We've got a step tool here which will do from bore casing up to 5-inch NB pipe, all in the one tool. And when we slide it in, you can rotate in there, so it doesn't matter initially. But this little cutout here, that's where the bigger pin locates. That's what holds it in the tool head. So to put it back in, we just slide the new tool in, and then we slide the bigger pin back down into place. And then the roll pin's got to go back in, which I could do with a third hand right now, but that's all right. You'd think I'd done this before, eh? So once you get close to the paint, don't keep hitting it and smash the lovely paint job, but you get the punch then and finish it off. Drive it right down till it's flush with the power cell. There we have it, that's down flush now. All you need to do now is put your rubber grommets back in. As I said before, if you put a bit of inox on them, they pop in and out with your hands, as opposed to trying to pry them in or out with a screwdriver. So slide your dust seals back in, go back to your grease nipple again, top up the grease in the tool head, and you're ready to start driving posts.
So Simon, just a couple of tools, and they're all supplied except for the hammer. You could even use the back of a shifting spanner, couldn't you?
No, Tim. You've got to use a hammer, mate, not a shifter.
That's the difference between me and a mechanic, eh?
Yes, that is.
But the beauty of this machine is, and always has been, its simplicity, isn't it? The one-piece tools are extra strong, and there's only one pin to remove, and you're in business. And don't forget your grease, mate.
And don't forget the grease. Grease is cheap. If you don't grease your tool head bushes wear. If you grease your tool head, you'll never have a problem.
How often should we be greasing the tool head, and with what grease? So, like a lot of people, I find grease a little bit confusing.
Yeah, it is. It's probably a little bit more complex than people think for particular applications. With rock breakers and power cells, you need a high temp, high impact grease so that it won't melt and just run out of the tool head, and high impact so that it stays where it's put, considering there's a lot of impact going on inside the tool head. So
when we're going into the shop to buy our grease, we don't just want normal grease that we'd use on average farm implements. We want high impact grease, and it's got to say high impact on the label.
Yep. It's called ballpoint actually with grease, but that's more confusing. We won't go there. But people can ring us up if they're not sure that they're getting the right grease from their local supplier. We can give them the specs of ours, and they can match it with a local supplier.
And one greasing point, how many hours?
One greasing point, often people are out there fencing, they're doing a 10, 12-hour day, big days. You'd probably only grease it 3 to 4 times. You might put 3 to 5 pumps of grease in at a time.
So 3 to 5 pumps of grease every 3 to 4 hours?
3 to 4 times over a big day. 3 to 4 hours, that'd be about right,
All right, beautiful. Is there anything else that we can or should be maintaining on this machine, or is it all pretty much foolproof after that?
Well, that's about it. Outside of keeping the grease up to the tool head, look after your hoses, don't get them caught on things. Obviously. Otherwise, they're almost maintenance free. There's only 3 moving parts in the whole thing. The piston, the post tool, and the control valve, which makes it oscillate to circulate the piston backwards and forwards. Now,
while people can ring you about anything, and you do enjoy talking to your customers, Simon, you'd rather talk to them about other things than pressurising hoses, wouldn't you? There's only one of these hoses that should be pressurised and not the other. Can you explain to everyone at home how they should pressurise this machine?
Sure, Tim. It's like electricity. It only goes through the post driver in one direction. If you reverse flow it, it'll make a funny squawky chattery noise, but you'll get no bang bang.
Okay.
And what you really want is bang bang. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that you pressurise the left-hand side hose. So that's when you're looking at the post driver or rock breaker.
It's the hose on your
That is the left-hand hose there. Make sure you're pressurising the left hand. This is the return side. So if you push oil back down this way, it won't do any bang bang. You'll be ringing me up saying my post driver's or rock breaker's not working. So always pressurise the left-hand side hose.
So if you want bang bang, go to the left.
Go to the left. That's it, mate.
And mate, you've got a whole range of new tools, and there's a link to a video on those at the end of this one if people are interested. You're bringing out a whole new range of tools to go on the end of excavators.
Yep.
You like hanging things off big motors?
I do.
Good stuff.
I do.
Guys, if you like this kind of video and you found it useful, and indeed if you've got one of these and you know you're going to be changing a tool in a few months' time, make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe. That way you'll find it again, and I'll catch you next week with something else.